on this.
Cool. Oh yeah, it says recording up here.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I said, I'll give it a pause and then we'll get going. I'll do the
Cool.
little intro. We're back. Fifth quarter returns for season 2. Man, we've taken a lot of time off. It's really good looking at Rack's face. Doing it a little different on Zoom this time. We
Yeah.
kind of have to with the pandemic. But Rack, how you feeling today?
Oh man, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Football is back. I woke up. My girl was wondering like, why are you so? It's because college football is back. I mean, what else can you ask for at this point?
I've been floating since yesterday. It feels like I've just been so happy. And that was not only that; it was actually a good game too. That was the
Right.
most fun I've ever had watching the Bobcats lose. I mean, that was an
Yeah.
incredible game we got to see, and the fact that football is finally did come back after everything we went through. You and I know we didn't know if we were going to be able to have a season, be able to do this, and
Right. Right.
it's good to start getting this going again and getting the fifth quarter back out there.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. I didn't know, to be honest, I didn't foresee us having a season this year. I didn't know if we was going to be having a season 2 of the fifth quarter this year because of everything with the pandemic, COVID-19 coming, and it's been a very, very interesting year. Dealing with, like I said, the pandemic, dealing with the racial injustice that's been going on here. I know a lot of the players, that have been talking about it. A lot of players have been using their platform to talk about, what's going on in that aspect as well. So a lot of things our country has been facing, man. And, to be honest, it's a blessing to be able to finally have football. Cause I do, I'm a big proponent of, I think football really brings us together. And it's a brotherhood. It's a time for people to, come together and, just have fun cheering on their team. And I think it's good.
I absolutely agree. It really is. It is the thing that it does bring us all together. And it's something we really need in this country right now with tensions are real high with staying at home and all the racial injustices and
Right.
all of it. So it's good to get back on the gridiron and get some football going.
Absolutely.
Picking up football, how about that game last night, man? What was the number one thing that you left that game thinking like, wow, I did not see that coming from the Bobcats?
I want to start this entire podcast off, right, by tipping my hat off, the MVP of the game, even though we did lose, but the MVP, of the entire game is going to go to the offensive line. Man, those guys, I mean, when I tell you just MVP, starting offense, Dalton Cooper, Eddie Rivas, Jordan Reese, Russell Baker, Alex Costilla, man, I mean, we was able to run the football. We was able to move the ball on the ground. McBride had time in the pocket. We're going to talk about that a little bit later, but he had time in the pocket. He could set his feet. He could step up in the pocket. I mean, night and day transformation on the offensive line. Love it.
I'm so glad you brought that up because all fall camp, that's what I was telling people.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? There is finally a first and a second unit on this offensive line because the offensive line wasn't ever terrible in years time. It's just that there wasn't any guys like behind them. So in this year, they have a full pair and a spare, if you will. A lot. And it's exciting to see. That's why you saw the run game like pop off the way it did. It really seemed like that's where they really teed off is when they got into the run game when they were able to go downhill a little bit and they were bullying that SMU D line. I knew there was going to be improvement. I didn't expect that much improvement. I was impressed with both lines. I thought on the other side, the D line, I haven't been hyping them up because they've had some injuries and some other issues there. But man, did they play real well yesterday? And they were also bullies. They were just pushing everybody around. It's the first time in a long time I've seen the Bobcats be the bullies on the playground, and it was exciting for sure. I mean,
yeah, man, it was the first time that I saw even pre-snap. Like there's things that I always look for, and it's just like, okay, every year, one of the very first things when I see the Bobcats come onto the football field, and even before the first snap is started, I always look for, do we look like a Division I football team? That is the very first thing every single year. Since I stopped playing, every year do we pass the eye test as a Division I football team? This is the first time since I believe I stopped playing, and we can go all the way back to, 15, 16. So this is the first time I looked on TV, I looked on watching the Bobcats, and I said, that looks like a full Division I football program right there. The whole football team. I love it. D-line looks big, looks very, D-line, linebackers, O-line, everyone looks like they're up to par on the size. It looks like we're going to be able to compete in that department in the Sun Belt Conference, definitely.
Man, that's high praise coming from you.
Yeah.
You see them as a Division I team when you look out there at them, and I'm with you. I could see it in fall camp, but I almost didn't want to believe my eyes just because of, past years, recent
Right.
indiscretions on the field, but they really do. It is a night and day team. 53 new players. That's a tremendous turnaround or turnover, I should say, to have
Right.
50 new guys on this. It is a new team, basically.
Yep.
You could see that on the field. But then you saw some guys from the old regime. You had Jeremiah Haydell with that amazing catch. You saw Javon Morris popping some guys coming up. Really laying the wood. And
that
that's
red zone hit came downhill, man. Love it.
You're right. Yeah, he popped that ball out of TJ
Popped
McDaniel.
that ball out. Yep.
Yep. And shout out to Zion Childress, true freshman, jumping on that ball, another new face. There was a lot of new pieces, and a lot of old pieces were just coming together and making it look real great. I feel a little goofy praising a loss so much. I'm not one for moral victories. No one is, but they just looked so good. And to lose 47-17 last year to basically the same offense. This is the number one offense in the country last year. They returned their entire offensive line. They returned Shane Buechele, who can really throw it. They returned Reggie Robertson and a lot of guys. They returned a lot of these pieces, and cut to this year, that same offense and this defense was able to hold them to 31 points, and they averaged 42 points a game. So it's a great sign. It's a great sign for the Bobcats, and hopefully they can continue to capitalize on it.
Absolutely.
We haven't even touched on Brady McBride yet. Kind of the talk of the town right now is number 2 back there, quarterback.
Yeah.
What do you think of him?
McBride, it's his first game. It's his first game. I always like to be positive coming into the first game because and not even that, I think he had a solid game, actually. I think there's things to build off of from the first game with him, obviously. The number one thing that I like with McBride was that he kept next play, next series, threw a pick, came back, next series,
Confidence.
That's what you want to see in a quarterback. Sometimes when you have some quarterbacks, they make one mistake and the next thing you know, they get the hair down and they're just like, oh, here we go again. And then it just kind of trickles and carries over. There was not a time in that football game where I felt like McBride kind of ducked his head down. It seemed like he was thinking in his head the entire game, we're going to win this mother, we're going to come out and win this game. And that's the kind of energy that I had. Now, there were some things that need to be improved. All right. Number one, I've already heard it, and I've seen a couple of questions with it. We need to. I don't know if he grew up watching Johnny football or if that was one of his idols or whatever. But let's retire that. Okay. We're not built for that. All right. Let's let it go. All right. The whole run it. You said what?
I said, especially off the field. Don't be like Manziel.
Yeah, both, on or off, because, man, if you go back and watch the film and you realize, like, Brady, you don't have to run out of the pocket every time. And then he does the turnaround scramble stuff that a lot of the high school quarterbacks do. And it's just like, this is D1 football. Manziel was doing some things that not a lot of people can do. I still to this day don't understand how he was able to do a lot of the things he did. But no, we got to get out of that. Our O-line was blocking well enough for McBride to be able to be confident in the pocket, allow everything to develop in front of him, and just deliver his people the ball. If there's nobody there, give your check down the ball and live to see another day. We don't have to be running for our lives every other play just because we're trying to extend the play and just hit the home run every time. Every time it's not going to be a home run. Live to see another day. Number two, he has to get comfortable with his footwork. All right. Sometimes he's getting lazy. That back foot is going to kill him. All right. So he has to plant his feet and deliver the throws. All right. The whole back foot lazy kind of throw, that's number two. He cannot throw the ball off his back foot. No, and the number three that he needs to watch out for is the cross-field passes. Stop it. Okay, stop. I was telling that they don't even allow that to work on Madden anymore. So like if you're rolling out right, do not throw the ball to your left across the field. It's just don't do it. It's a disaster. But on the bright side, like I said, Kev, I finally feel like we got a quarterback. He was as advertised just from what I seen game one. He has a lot of things to build on. I'm very excited in the quarterback department.
He's a bit of a wild Bronco out there. He needs to be tamed a little bit, but I'll tell you what, I like the foundation that the kid has. And I really think that with more experience, with more confidence, he'll really get some of those mechanics down. And Coach Spav kept saying he's a real east to west player as a quarterback. And you could really see it in the game yesterday. He's going sideline to sideline.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, sometimes it worked out. So there's the high risk, high reward factor there. But I am with you that there are some things he's got to clean up, and I think he will as the season goes on, especially because it's almost been 2 years since the kid's played. First collegiate start, I'm pretty sure, I have to double check that. I'm pretty sure he didn't start a game at Memphis. He didn't play much when he was, if he did start a game. But I'm pretty sure that was his first collegiate start. And he
started. I believe he started one game.
Did he start one?
He started one game in Memphis.
A handful of passes up there. So, very well could have been, but definitely been a minute. And I think as the season goes on, about midway through the season, we're going to really start to see him kind of shape into what he can really be. And the kid's a sophomore. So, still young.
He's a sophomore, man. He's a sophomore. He has a lot, to grow from. He has a lot to learn. People got to realize, I know we tend to watch the quarterback position a lot. That's the main position on the football field. But, everybody has to understand he's a sophomore. He has to, people want him to come in and be Vince Young, but, allow him to develop. I think that's a solid game one. He hasn't played a football game in a while. I think that he will get settled in and he'll come into his own, as the season progresses, definitely.
Absolutely. You gave your MVP to the offensive line, which I really appreciate because I was right there with you. And, I'm gonna stray different. Just because I would have said the O-line too, but I've got another good one: the DBs. Man, they had a tough task against those SMU wide receivers. And they really stood up. Cordell Rogers, Jerron Morris, Kevin Anderson back there at safety. Yeah. Jordan Mask, there was some a really good pass breakup that he had in the end zone, prevented a touchdown. Those DBs, they looked real strong out there too. So I got to give a shout out to them. I wanted to get that in there before I got to our questions because a lot of stuff that we're going to
No, those DBs look good, man. I've been seeing those pictures coming. Even I was saying it when the pictures was coming out of fall camp and stuff, man. I'm like, that looks like a good. They call themselves the back end. That they looking good back there, man. That DB crew looking good. Another thing to watch out when you're watching the secondary is anytime that you're watching a good secondary, right, or you're watching a secondary that's good, you always look if there's any bust, in coverage busts. And we didn't see a lot of that. It seems like they was, for the most part, on the same team, on the same, on the same accord. Not many coverage busts, a lot of them communicating, and they're running to the football. Everybody's trying to get in there, get to the ball. You didn't see a lot of like lollygagging and loafs coming in from the back end. So, man, I believe very well this is going to be a bit like Nats. They're gonna be a very chippy, Nat kind of crew, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see what that back end crew gonna do this year.
That's a really good point there, because there really wasn't too many of those big plays, and the one that I can really think of was called back because of that.
Yeah, that was only
little block. I remember it was
right.
number 80 for SMU who ran. It was a 56-yarder. They called back, and boy, that was
right.
Pretty lucky there. But the DBs looking real strong. The big, I haven't seen that here. They got tall DBs, and they were without Torrey Spears this game, and he's 6'4" at safety. I mean, it's crazy when I see him out there at practice playing safety with that height. I'm like,
right.
He looks like he should be a shooting guard for the basketball team or something. But can't wait to see him out there too. But we've got a lot of questions from y'all. I honestly did not expect so many questions to come in. I mean, it was about 10 of them. So I figure we should jump into the questions before we start answering them, just talking. And,
let's jump right in.
I wrote them down this time just because last time we have problems going through my phone. So we're ready. We're ready this time. First one we got is from @Thomas Laronitis. Sorry if I said your last name wrong, but that's their Twitter handle. Do you think we will see a commitment to the running game after the boys up front got to hit a few people in the run game? They seem to do better in pass pro. I'll let you take that one. Do you think they'll commit more to the run game?
So as we was transitioning to questions, in my head I was thinking, man, we really should have given those backs more love just now on the intro. So right now I want to take this time, man, to say, phenomenal job from those runs. I mean, Calvin Hill, 13 rushes for 100 yards. Remember, we talked about it. We need 100-yard type backs.
They got two of them.
You answered my prayers. You answered my prayers. We got some running backs, man. Good God, we got some running backs. Calvin Hill, we got Brock Sturgis, 4 rushes for 95 yards, 6.8 yards a carry for Brock. We got Calvin Hill, 13 rushes, 100 yards, 7.7 yards per carry. That is how you run the football. All right, so let's roll into the question. So going to the question, should we commit more to the run? I think that we have to understand our personnel and our coach. We have to understand who's the play caller. Okay, it's Coach Spav. He's an air raid kind of guy, right? So I think it's going to be safe to say we need to be a balanced football team. I think that we have McBride that's going to be able to get our receivers the ball, as he gets going and he gets more comfortable. And we're going to I think our run game is going to open up our passing game. It's okay to start off, kind of running the ball and let everybody get a little comfortable. And then now our passing game is opening up. When we don't have a run game and we have to pass every time, then they can put more DBs on the field. They're in nickel. They're in dime. You know what I'm saying? But when we have that run game, guess what? Base. You're going to see all those big bodies coming onto the football field. And what those big bodies means is, guess what? Those linebackers can't probably match up with our receivers as much. So that's going to open up the passing game, and we're going to have more of a balanced attack. So, man, I'm really excited. I don't think we need to start transitioning over to 80%, 70% run. I think that if we can have anywhere close to a 50-50, 45-55, even a 60-40, maybe we run 60% of the time, pass 40% of the time, have more of a balanced attack, I think that people ain't going to be able – what can you shut down if you can't – if we can run and pass the ball, you ain't going to be able to shut us down.
No doubt about it. And, I mean, we were calling for it last year. Do you remember I was so hyped? I said Anthony Taylor was going to get 1,000 yards. Woof, I was off on that one. But this year, might actually get a 1,000-yard rusher. I mean, it might actually happen. I'm not going to predict it. I'm just going to be quiet and let it happen. but I am very excited about the run game. And there's a reason I didn't bring up the running backs at the beginning of this, and I waited for the questions because I knew you were going to be hyped.
Oh, okay, yeah,
We
yeah. Well,
wanted it last year. We wanted it last year, and we're getting it this year, no doubt. And for the question, for the commitment, I do. I think there's going to be more so of a commitment to the run game this year than there was last year. Um, Personnel plays a lot into that, but I also think the Bobcats were playing from behind a lot last year, so they threw way more. Um, Caleb Twyford did what he could. He did a pretty good job for the Bobcats last year, and he's back again this year. So you can add him to the mix of the running backs. I mean, they are stacked at running back, and they've even got Robert Brown Jr. I don't think he got any carries, but he got out there a couple times. And you know, he's a speedster himself. He's pretty good. He's a good little weapon you can use. You can throw him the ball out of the backfield, and so I think they are going to commit more to the run game. And a lot of that also has to do with McBride. He's a bit of a dual threat himself. He had 30 yards rushing, but I think he ended up, let's see what he ended up with. For the net rushing, he only had 3 yards net rushing because of the sacks. That tends to happen with running backs. But before the sacks, he had 30 yards. So, I mean, yeah, I really do. I think they're going to use that running game to kind of balance out the pass. I don't think, like you said, I don't think it'd ever be a heavy run offense, but a more balanced 50-50 attack. That definitely
yeah.
seems doable. And why wouldn't you with the weapons you got? So
For Coach Spav, a balanced attack, it's a heavier run game, if that makes any sense. For somebody like Coach Spav, if it's more balanced, and that means that in his eyes, we're running the hell out of the ball, you know. So
no doubt, everybody knows Spavital likes to air it out. So I mean,
right,
for him to commit to the run game as much as they did, you know, and there are
yeah,
more questions coming up about the run game we'll get to, but we'll go ahead and move to the next one because
cool.
we don't want to answer them all. I can't believe how many questions we got. Appreciate all of y'all chiming in on a Sunday
Thank you.
morning. I expect
Please
everyone
keep
to be
it rolling.
sleeping. Everyone was still hyped from that game. This one we got from @Derek Dela Cruz 08. What is going on with Binky Coleman? Spav talked about him early in spring camp, but he was on the sideline. Yeah, you know, I'll go ahead and take this one just because I don't know the exact injury with Binky, but he Markavian Coleman, he goes by Binky for those who don't know. He has been there all of fall camp, but I haven't seen him in pads once. He's kind of had a clipboard. He's been helping the linebackers. I don't really know the situation. I don't even really want to speculate. I'm assuming it's an injury. I know he hasn't quit. He hasn't left the team, but he's still there. And he's definitely someone that Spav spoke a lot about in the spring at middle linebacker. That someone who was going to come along, kind of step into Brian London and Nick Daniels' shoes. But then over summer, they went out and got Sione Tupou out of UTEP. We saw him yesterday, number 55. And then Christian Taylor and Braden Stringer, two guys out of Tech, came pretty late in the summer. And so, when those guys came in, I kind of expected Binky's role to be smaller. But then when he wasn't even out there in pads or anything, I don't want to speculate. I don't know the issue with that, but I just know he's not participating. And it's the same deal with Hal Vincent. Hal Vincent was at the beginning of fall camp going. And then recently he hasn't been in pads, but he's still been there. He's still been around the team. So, you know, it's not a departure or something of that nature, but I would imagine it is some sort of injury with those two guys there. But yeah, so that kind of answers that one. I was really looking forward to seeing him out there at middle linebacker too. He's been waiting his turn behind London. I mean, basically the whole time London was there, and this was going to be a senior year. But the good thing about fall sports is the NCAA said that you doesn't really count towards your eligibility. So who knows? Maybe Binky can come back. Maybe Hal can come back, which would be a 7th season for Hal Vincent. So maybe he won't, but I know I'd sure like to have him back. That's a big dude. All right, question number 3. I kind of molded 2 questions, and it alludes to something you got to in the intro with Manziel and McBride. So I'm going to read both questions, and we'll talk about that comparison. First one is from KS Media 13, our old friend Carl Schoening. We know him real well. Thanks.
What up, Carl?
What's up, Carl? What does McBride need to do to earn my nickname of Brady Bobcat Football I want to bestow upon him? Before you jump in, let me get Jude's question. This is from @Jude McLaren. Texas State media student there. He does his own podcast. I believe it's called Death Valley. It's an LSU podcast, so go listen to that if you want some Tiger news. From Jude, I think it is reasonable to say Brady has similarities to Johnny Manziel. Do y'all? Now let's address Carl's nickname first. I saw you shaking your head, so go ahead, go right at it. What do you think? What do you think of Johnny Bobcat football?
I don't think we need to condone any of the Johnny footballism that we have going on right now. As we can see in game one, it's not going to turn out too good for us. So I think, I think Brady should be Brady, man. I think McBride is his own person. If it, I don't want to get to the point where we're pumping his head up to do it more, and it's just like, it can cost us. As we saw, it can definitely cost us. I think there's some good things that he does, and yeah, man, I personally would like to see us kind of get away from that. I know Coach Fab isn't coaching that. I know he wants to. I even see the camera sometimes on Coach Fab, and he's like, "Run the play," So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Kev?
Well, I'll answer on the nickname, specifically the Johnny Bobcat football. Yeah. Carl, it's a little wordy, my friend. I mean, there's a lot of syllables in there. It doesn't roll off the tongue, so maybe workshop that one a little bit. As far as the comparison of Brady to Manziel, you can see it. It's the east to west player, as Fab likes to call it. They both kind of have that. Whether that's a good idea or not, I tend to lean towards you, where I'm like, maybe you should, not throw the ball across your body so much. But then he has some plays where it's exciting, and I almost just want to let the Bronco just take the saddle off him and let him go wild up and down the field and see if he can find his way to the end zone. But yeah, the ball's in a high risk, high reward situation tends to end in a lot more risk than reward.
We call that backyard football.
Backyard football.
And this call that backyard football, man.
It's Division I football, as you're saying. This looks like a Division I team, so it's as exciting as that would be. It would be nice to see him kind of focus in on the play instead of kind of go off script a little bit. But I like what I see from the kid. I like the foundation, and I really think that they can build onto that. And I'm sure Spav is with you too. He doesn't really, even though he coached Manziel as his quarterback's coach, I'm sure he doesn't want all of what goes into that. But yeah, there's definitely similarities, especially they both wear number 2.
There's similarities for sure. You
can't deny that, but I think you can learn from what Manziel did. And you're like, right. Okay, maybe not too wild all the time. Sometimes we just got to run the play the way it's drawn up, But so, yeah. All right. Our next one we got from Ron Miller, 1432. UTSA is bringing in local talent. Yes, they are. They really are. What can we do to get some of that in San Marcos? They got Alex Castilla. Is that enough? There's one San Marcos kid. No, but I think when you say local, I don't know if you mean just San Marcos, because there's definitely not as many colleges or high schools as San Antonio has, so there's a bigger market. But if you mean kind of in the greater area, I think they do a pretty good job of that. You have Jaden Smith, who's from Buda. Even Brady McBride went to Dripping Springs for his first year. And then another quarterback, Tanner Pruitt, he was the quarterback at Dripping Springs as well. I mean, there are some local guys, but I really just think the market isn't as big as San Antonio, and UTSA has a much more players to pick from, up there. Although I covered a Wimberley game, and there's some guys there that I really think they should look at. There's a running back named Moses Ray for Wimberley, real talented. They have a quarterback named Matthew Tippy. He just transferred in from Burnett. He's pretty good himself. Christian Marshall at receiver. They should really look at him. So, I mean, yeah, I think that they should. I think it would be good for the communities, because if you start going and getting guys from Wimberley, those people are going to show up for the game because they want to see their guy. I know for Trenton Scott at a Luling, there's another guy, should have named him too, because Luling's 20 minutes down the road. Trenton Scott, the true freshman offensive lineman they have people in Luling that come out to the games and watching it because I covered their game on Friday, and they were real hyped, real excited about Trenton Scott and the Bobcats in general. So I think it is a smart idea for them to do it, and I hope they continue to do it. But I would say, I think they are maybe not on the same level as UTSA is at getting the local guys, but they are definitely bringing in some guys from Hayes County and surrounding counties and some hill country prospects, no doubt. And they have a bunch of Austin guys too, and I think Austin should count as local. I mean, I write for the Austin paper and I cover the Bobcats, so I mean that's somewhat local. And there's a handful of them out of Austin, so but they should definitely continue to do that. I think it'll just get people that are close to San Marcos and Texas State's campus more involved, who aren't necessarily students or alumni. You want to incorporate everyone. So bringing in that local talent, I think, would go a long way. So good question there, Ron.
Great question. Great question.
Let me see. I'll throw the next one at you because I kind of stole all the steam on that one.
No, you good.
This one you can take. Oh, I like this. This is from at Baseball Nut 46. I actually met him at a press conference once, one of the baseball ones. So thanks for
nice.
the question. I liked the play of the receivers, but was wondering about one. Oh, maybe I should take this one, actually. I didn't see Jacob Horn, as highly thought of as he was when he signed. Any word on him? I think it's just such a deep receiver group that a true freshman like Jacob Horn, he just didn't make his way through it. He was down there. He's number 6. It's interesting, number 6 on offense and on defense. For defense, it's Jared Hopper. They both look really similar. I saw them standing next to each other yesterday, and I was like, or it wasn't yesterday, it was at a practice. And I was just like, man, those two number 6s are like the same height, the same build, everything. It's hard to tell. So you may have seen them on the sideline because Hopper and Horn didn't really get in there much yesterday. Hopper might have. I'd have to actually check that. But I know Horn didn't very much. And I think that's just such a deep receiver group. You've got some of the guys from the last regime, K. Shareed and Jeremiah Haydell, who are really playing well. Chandler Spates as well, too. Got to give him a shout.
Yeah.
And then you have some of the new guys, Drew Jackson, Marcel Barbie, that are getting in there and kind of making waves. So I just think it was hard for that true freshman to really break through that.
Come in and line up. Yeah, break through. Yeah, man. True freshman. He's going to have his time. Definitely going to have his time.
Do you know who Joe Horn is from the Saints back in the day? The cell phone?
Yeah.
That's his
son. Oh, really?
Yeah. How about that?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't think a lot. I think I said one tweet about it back in February.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's crazy.
We haven't talked about it much. When he starts playing and stuff, we'll bring that up. Maybe we'll try and get Joe Horn on the podcast. Try and get him on the phone.
Cool. I'm down.
Let's see. What do we got? This one is from at TXST alum. It's kind of a long one, but here we go. And this is one that it's kind of directed at you. So you can, after I stole the last 2 questions, you can hear it.
That's all good, Kev.
The entire team is figuratively capitalizing on every improvement Brady and Spav are progressing through. I know Rack's response at UTSA 2 years ago, so let me tee it up. Why aren't we running the ball on 3rd and 4th and 2 with the game on the line in the 4th quarter?
That's a great question. I would have loved to see us run the ball one of those, just because our running game was working, and just me, it's just like it's 2 yards. Your running game's working, we could probably get those 2 yards on the ground. But when you look at our offense and who's, again, Coach Spav is you gotta know kind of your guy, who you got. Now, when he goes back through and watches that play, I can guarantee you he's probably thinking I probably should have ran the ball here, because I think McBride got the ball and we just, we threw the ball. It just wasn't me personally, when I saw the play that was called, I just thought it was just going to be executed very flawlessly, because I'm just like, okay, well, we're not running the ball. That means that they must got, specific play up their sleeve. Didn't go as planned, So I agree. Looking back in hindsight right now, we probably should have ran the ball on one of those, maybe on the 3rd and 2, we probably should have ran the ball there. I would agree with that assessment.
Yeah, you know what I think it comes down to um, is Spav is an air raid disciple. He wants to throw the ball, and in the fourth quarter, when you're down, he's going to want to air it out, and I think it was a little bit to his detriment in this fourth quarter. Probably should have ran the ball on some of those, really
Yeah,
try and go for that win. But I think he's also a young coach. He's his second year as a head coach, first year calling plays. Something
yeah.
that we haven't even brought up. Spavital's calling plays, and I mean, I definitely like those play calls a lot better this game than I did in any of the ones I saw last year. I wish I'd asked him about that at the press conference yesterday. Now that I'm
Yeah.
thinking about it, that would have been a good question
No,
for him.
I was fairly impressed with, it was definitely an improvement with the play calling. Um, but me personally, just knowing personnel, knowing you have a brand new quarterback, knowing this is his first career, first D1 start in a long time, and I mean he played the whole game for the most part. I mean he played the whole did. So
Except one snap. Do you remember the
except
Jalen Gibson
yeah,
snap?
helmet came off or something like that, but
Yep.
yeah, man, I would agree with you. I would have definitely run the ball on that 3rd and 2 there. And then if we didn't get it on the 3rd and 2, running the ball on the ground, then I would have went to the pass play that they had drawn up.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it'll growing pains. First game of the
Yeah.
season, I think coach will start to learn he can trust that run game a little bit
Right.
more as the season progresses. Next one here, we've got where were we? Oh, here we go. At TX State Johnson. And I also included at Josh Groves because it was kind of the same question, so I threw it all into one. But this specific questions from at TX State Johnson. Heard some chatter about Brady throwing off his back foot. Ah, you talked about that. Back foot a lot yesterday. Do you think that is his mechanics or reflection of the SMU D line being disruptive? Take it away, Rack.
Mechanics all day. Mechanics had absolutely nothing to do with SMU's D line. Actually, our O line was blocking very well yesterday. I was actually impressed with how they was blocking both on the run game and the pass pro. If you go back and you watch the game, just look at how the pocket was. I mean, it was a clip. He had a pocket. Not only was it, I mean, he had a pocket. Now, some of their edge rushers was coming. They was coming off the edge. There's a few times where Brady could have stepped up into the pocket and just kind of let everything develop and deliver this ball. But as he starts seeing pressure coming from the corner, he goes east and west. Spav is right. He's an east-west player. And, he likes to kind of scramble back or scramble to the side somewhere. And he gets all out of whack and he just tries to, still make a play. Do the Johnny football way. Um, I think he has to clean up because as we can see, almost every single ball that he threw off his back foot was not a great ball that it delivered. It was night and day. He he sometimes he looks like a great quarterback when he just sets his feet and delivers it, and then the other times when he just kind of off balance throwing that back foot deal. It's not a good throw. So he's gonna have to improve on technique on that, definitely.
Yeah, would you think it's a few years off the field since he's been in there? You think that played a big factor into that, and something he can clean up? You think?
Well, it's not like he wasn't. I just think it's just him getting those game reps and just knowing that he has to improve his technique. Even me as a linebacker, for example, when you're training all day and you're training yourself to do stuff, you don't necessarily know you can't train your habits until you actually get into more game type situations. Because I can guarantee you, he's not training to throw off his back foot that way. It's only that it comes from pressure. You see what I'm saying? Like it just comes from pressure and experience. Just like in basketball, you can sit there and shoot threes all day, but can you make those threes in game time situations when the game's on the line or when the defender's in your face and you literally have to make that shot uh, in the crunch time? It's just different. So I'm just gonna say that he's gonna be able to watch film and learn off of experience that I have to keep my technique sharp, even if I'm getting pressure and all kind of people coming from all different directions. I still got to keep my footwork tight and deliver the ball the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting you mentioned its mechanics over the D line because the O line did a really good job. It was like that one first series. There was that sack on the first play. I think there was a
Yeah.
sack later in that series, and then I can't think of any other sacks after that. But it seemed like after that first series or two, and I think we had a question earlier that alluded to once they got the running started, it really helped.
Yeah. Yeah. They got some confidence, and it was they started to get some swagger, and it was it after that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and if McBride can clean up some of those things, boy, sky's the limit for this team. I really think that.
I agree.
Let's see what we got. This one is from at Tiger Woods from Andrew Teague. Um, what was the most impressive part of the defensive performance yesterday? Promising first game. Looking forward to an exciting season. What were when you saw the defense? What was the most promising aspect of it in your
Well,
eyes?
Kev, you probably would answer this for because I know you said something of this earlier, but I'm gonna go with the D line. It was had it not been for the O line, the D line. I mean, they looked just as sharp. Uh, the fact that we didn't even have one of our best D linemen in the game, playing, it was like I couldn't tell, because the D line they look big, they look sharp, they look fast, they in shape, they're holding the line of scrimmage, they're not getting pushed around. I love the stunts that they was running up front. They was looping the DN in. They was crossing over the D tackle to the outside. He was able to get outside, grab, contain. Them boys was able to make plays in the backfield. They tried to run the ball. We was running to the ball. I mean, everything about that unit yesterday let me know that we're going to have a very stout defensive line this year. That was my bright spot.
Absolutely. Yeah, you mentioned Patton not being in the game, arguably one of their better D linemen, and then they still looked that strong. Unfortunately, Jacquel Pierce went down with an injury.
Yeah,
Yesterday, he was one of the starters, but he looked so good, number 94. He came
yeah,
in as an O lineman, switched to D lineman, and I was really impressed with him. You say the D line was your most impressive, and I said it earlier about the DBs, and that was the most impressive aspect to me, the way they looked out there. I mean, great interception by Cordell Rogers, that bobbling play. Grid Isidore had that pick, returned to like 30 yards. Man,
yeah,
Grid looks good out there. He's a good big body out there. I mean, I was just so impressed with the DBs as a whole, and as the entire unit. I mean, they caused 3 turnovers themselves, with Jerron Morris knocking that ball out of TJ McDaniel's
yeah,
hand. Zion Childress, gosh, true freshman Zion Childress. It's great. And to think that arguably their best player didn't play, Canberra Winters, who was an honorable mention All Sun Belt last year
yeah,
as a true freshman, tore his ACL. He's out for the year, unfortunately. But he was out at corner, and Cordell Rogers really stepped in and took over for him. It's kind of funny because Winters took over for Cordell Rogers last year when Rogers
yeah.
got. Now Rogers returning the favor
Taking
this
over
year.
from
I
the
mean,
winners. Yeah,
at
that's
some,
crazy.
at some point we're going to get both of them, and it's just going to be.
Right, right.
But I was really impressed with the DBs. And just for posterity, we should talk a little linebacker play too, because they did real well. One thing I was
Yeah,
really linebackers was pressure. The pressure they put on. Gavin Graham specifically saw him back there a lot. London
yeah,
Harris, we haven't seen much of until really
yeah.
this game, really got some pressure. Sione Tupo, who also went down twice with injuries, went
Yeah,
down
and
for
then Braden Stringer, man, he looked good. He looked good out there. He looked good. I know he got ejected, but I'm looking forward to seeing he looked pretty good out there. I think those linebackers definitely held it down. It's so crazy because the D line was playing so well, the DBs was playing so well, but people kind of forgot how the linebackers were doing, and I think that is a testament to because Gavin Graham was in the backfield. There was times when we went 3 linemen. We had the 3 down set, which is the 3 linemen up front, and we went more of a we didn't rush, but we didn't bring an extra rusher, and you can tell, because the SMU quarterback, he had more time in the pocket. So that lets you know that, every time we was bringing some kind of linebacker in that was helping rushing, to get in the backfield, man. I think they had a solid game as well.
absolutely. What did you think of that ejection on Stringer?
Oh, it was. I didn't agree with the call. I didn't agree with it. It was a helmet hit, but it wasn't. I didn't think it was a targeting. So I just think I didn't agree with the call. I don't know
Yeah,
what you thought about it, but I didn't
I,
agree with it.
I don't think it was malicious. I don't think he was really aiming for his head. But I think
Right.
letter of the rule, it was helmet to helmet. Kind of, he really did ear hole him from the
I
side.
couldn't even see from the angle either. Like even on TV, like it didn't. They didn't even show me a clear angle where his helmet. It looked because it looked like I don't know. It looked like he was. It was the shoulder or the arm. Like I. So it was clearly the helmet on that play.
He hit him in the helmet for sure. Because I'm
I know
pretty
he
sure.
hit him in the helmet, but I didn't. It didn't look like he led with his helmet on hitting him in the helmet.
Right, right. Yeah, I think I said helmet to helmet, and I misspoke. It was
Okay,
yeah, I
gotcha.
misspoke there.
Yeah,
I meant he hit him in. It hit him in the head. You know that
gotcha.
that
Gotcha.
one helmet to helmet. I can't say for sure if it was his shoulder, but he definitely hit him right in the ear hole.
And I don't know. I don't even know the rule behind that exactly, like the exact rule.
It
But
definitely changed since you played, no doubt. That
yeah,
was
man.
a
I
total.
know. Normally, it's helmet to helmet is a penalty there, and he definitely hit him in the helmet. So
Now they have
you know,
any contact with the head. I mean,
any
that's really
contact you forearm somebody and you accidentally hit him in the head, you're out.
can't do it.
That's
And on top of that, not only is he ejected, he has to sit out the first half of UTSA.
first half of the next game. Yeah.
So that's a real shame. But I don't think it was a dirty play, an intentionally
Right.
dirty play. But I also don't think the refs were just making it up. I mean, they have to call that play, whether we agree with it or not.
Right.
It sucks for Braden, but he did look good before all of that. Those
Yeah.
linebackers, they really bounced back after losing a lot of those guys, and really hope Hal Vincent and Binky Coleman can do whatever they got to do, get healthy, get back on the field, and add to that. That would just be tremendous depth at that
Yep.
position. Because someone we didn't even mention Kenny Haynes too, or the I think it was Josh Emmanuel. There's twins, the Emmanuel twins. I think it was Josh that got in
The
there.
Emmanuel twins from
Yep,
Dallas,
from
D
Dallas.
Town.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kenny Haynes, he had a really good stop, almost power bombed the guy over his head. So I mean, they had a pretty good little unit there. The whole defense looked real. I was real impressed with them as a whole. And this is our last one. I saved it for the last one, even though it was one of the earlier questions we got. But this one is from Creme Brulee 2016. Overall, after watching our performance yesterday against SMU, what are y'all's predictions for the season? Over 500? You want me to go first here?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm going to say I've been saying 4 or 5 wins before yesterday. And I really think it could go up to 6 or 7. I hate to put an exact win, like this is exactly how many they're going to win, but I really do think a bowl eligible team is what I saw yesterday. And it's the first time I've seen it in a long time, probably since 2014, since Mike Rakpo was going out there. I've seen that here, where I'm like, this is a bowl eligible team. Don't know if there
Yeah.
will be bowl games. Who knows what it'll look like in December? But I think that this team they're still young, quarterback's young, coach is young, everybody's young across the board. So that's why I won't say this is going to be like a 10-win team or something tremendous like that. But a winning record is not out of question here, and that it was nice to see that yesterday. And I don't know exactly how many wins they're going to get. All I know is the most important one is next week. Please be
Yeah.
content. That's all I got.
Yes. Yes.
All I got.
My prediction, I had this before the game. Me and Sean was talking about this. I got the Bobcats at 6 wins this year. I think they're gonna be at that a 500 team this year on the minimum. We have a possibility to get 7 wins. We do, but I think we can with 6 wins is definitely attainable this year. It's going to start next week with UTSA, man. That's a very, very, very important game. Somebody talked about local recruits. If you want any local recruits around San Marcos, San Antonio, Austin area, you need to beat UTSA. Because I guarantee you, they're going to be in those same schools that we are. They're going to be on the same high school football fields that we are, and they're going to be in the same living rooms as we are. So if you want to be able to compete with local recruits, you're going to have to go out there and beat the University of Texas, San Antonio campus. You're going to have to beat those guys.
I've got a good bet with one of my followers on Twitter. Bet me $100 the Bobcats won't win more than 2 games, and I think it's easy money. After it was before the game yesterday, And so I think I got some easy money coming my way
Wow.
this year. I won't reveal who it is. I'll let that stay a secret. But no, recruiting wise, absolutely. And talk, what a tremendous recruiting platform that was last night to show
Yeah.
that all on ESPN. I
Yeah.
mean, very first game ever on ESPN for Texas State. They've been on ESPN
No.
two, ESPN, any of the other ESPNs, but that's the first one they've been on the main channel, and they showed up. They showed up, and that's good for recruiting as well. And that's, yes, they've got it. And the next step to help recruiting be UTSA, especially for the local kids. We gotta get them and bring them in here. I'm glad we agree though. We're both like 500 bowl
We agree.
eligibility.
We agree.
That's good. Good.
I think it's definitely attainable, man. Yes, sir.
It's exciting time for the Bobcats. Well, we've been talking a lot. We answered all those
We can
questions.
go all night. We can go all night if y'all want to. You know, we'll be here till 9 o'clock. Talking Bobcat football.
I could spend hours and hours on the Bobcats. I really enjoy covering them. And we talked a lot about the Bobcats when they were down in the dumps. Now they're
Right.
looking all, God, when you
Yeah,
called
man.
me last night when I was in the press box, I never answer the phone when I'm in the press box. I saw it was you, and I was like, "Yep, I know he's going to be hyped, and we're going to record a pod."
Absolutely, man. We started from the bottom, man. We on our way up. Don't worry. We on our way up.
Slowly but surely. But I think that'll do it for the season 2 premiere of the Fifth Quarter podcast. It's great to be back. I'm Kev Chardello. That's Mike Arakbo, and we'll see you next time.
All right, y'all.